All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for making a little time out of your morning to join us here on Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition. And before we get into today's topics, as you've seen from the thumbnail, we're going to try to really talk about where MCDC and the coaching staff's at. To me, they seem to be in a no-win situation. Rest players or go for the win and potentially go for the number 2 seed. We'll dive into all that in just a second. But before we do get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making a push to get to 5,500 subs by kickoff this weekend. And I want to say we're about 80 or 70, somewhere in that range away. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoyed the show, maybe consider doing so. Also, don't be afraid to go ahead and hit the thumbs up, like button, whatever you want to call it button. Go ahead and get it after that because, you know, it helps the channel out. Last thing, because I have bills to pay just like everybody else watching the show. And hey, someday I dream of going to a Ford Field playoff game. So with that being said, hey, outside of being a coach, a YouTuber, and a scout, I am a realtor, have been since, I don't know, somewhere around 92, somewhere in that range, 1992. If you're looking for someone who's going to work on your behest, try to save you some money anywhere in the great state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, left side, right side, downside, upside, wherever, give me a call, shoot me a text. I know a number of you have reached out over the months or so that I've advertised that, and I think I've done a pretty good job for you guys. But if you are looking for someone who's going to save you money either on the purchase of a property or the sale of the property, while also trying to educate you on what to look for when you're going through a house or a building or whatever it may be, I can do that for you. 269-998-2384. Give me a call or shoot me a text. If you're outside of Michigan, you can still contact me. I can always try to walk you through the process and maybe even refer you to somebody who I would recommend to you. All right, with all the formalities out of the way, figured I'd get on the show a little early today because I put up the initial post or whatever about, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. And I looked over when I went to go get my morning water. I was like, whoa, the comments section is moving. So I figured, hey, let's get a little extra bonus time and get over here. All right, Michael, greetings and salutations, coach and Duke crew. Can't wait for the playoffs. Yeah, I got to imagine, while obviously we have a game in a couple days, let's be fair. Everybody's real buildup is going to be for the playoff game. Looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race who we're going to face, either the Rams or the Packers. I guess mathematically there's still some chance it could be Seattle or such, but it looks like, hey, it's going to be either the Packers or the Rams. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. We can talk about it more if you guys want. But really, I think all MCDC, and this is just my opinion, feel free to throw your thoughts out there. I think he's just going to use this as a dry rehearsal. He's going to have the starters out there for both the offense and defense for maybe a series or two, nothing beyond that. And then probably start pulling guys and getting them onto the sidelines and letting some of the younger guys get out there. Does that mean Hendon Hooker will get onto the field? That I don't know, man. I could definitely see an argument for it for, say, like the fourth quarter. Give him maybe a drive or two, maybe 3 if you're real lucky. Maybe Stephen Gilmore, see what this kid's got. Give him an opportunity. Just stuff like that. We'll see what happens, though. All right, Robert, taking care of business and working overtime. That's right, man. And good morning to you, too. Robert, 1 win at a time. Yeah, it'll be interesting, again, to see what they do here. I get the coaches, no matter who's out there, they're going to be coaching them up. They're going to be going for the win. They're going to want it. But I'm guessing, and all it is, I guess, maybe the starters play the entire game. That I can't answer. But my guess is you'll probably get a couple series out of everybody and then get them on the sidelines, get them resting. Robert, sure will be nice to get a Liam McNeil back. Yeah. And I'm also going to guess he's one of the ones they're going to be a little bit more careful with just because he is just returning. Same with Gardner Johnson. Probably a few snaps here and there just to try to get their feet wet, get them reacclimated. Gardner Johnson, like we talked about yesterday, I'm sure they're going to leave the secondary out there maybe a little bit longer just so they can work on some nuances with them. I know a couple of people put in the comment section yesterday, dude, I really think that who was it, if you would play the number 2 corner? No, I don't know. That's when I was commenting yesterday, saying I don't know who they're going to play there. Could it be Iffy? Could it be Branch? Could it be CJ? That's all I'm saying. And that's what we'll probably get some clue towards in this weekend's contest. All right, Robert, Minnesota really has zero chance. It ain't much, man. I wouldn't say, what is it? Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. There is some chance they could win and get into the playoffs. It's just not a very high chance. But then again, the Lions don't have a high chance to get the number 2 seed. But from what MCDC is telling us, they're going to go for that chance. As slim as it may be, it's still a chance. Mile Marker, good morning, everyone. Rise and shine and share the chat, please. One pride. Yes, Mile Marker. Everybody, yeah, have their say. And that's why I tried to jump on a little bit earlier just to try to help out. All right, Robert, intensity. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to play to win, baby. All right, JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Always good to see you and the big eye in the chat. So, all right, Robert. Hey, Jason Berry, what is the feeling about Minnesota this game? We'll see what he has to say. Dave, Minnesota still has some chance of the playoffs. Mullins gave us a hard time last game. He did indeed. And if it wasn't for the 4 picks, I think there was 2 turnovers, even though I do believe Minnesota recovered both the turnovers. Hey, the guy, if you take away those plays, he's pretty good. The only problem is 6 turnovers. That's a little bit of a problem. Let's see if the Lions can get to him a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe Hutchinson can get another sack and set a new career high for himself. All right, Michael, depending on how this game is going, MCDC will start pulling out players for the playoffs. I also believe that once Montgomery gets 1,000 yards, he'll be done for the day. Yeah, probably a good take there. I want to say Montgomery needs like 24, 25 yards, somewhere in that range. So maybe once he gets it, yeah, get him out of there. But then again, at the same time, is it really that big a deal to Montgomery? Only he can answer that and the coaching staff. But I know they've got a couple of guys that are near some historic numbers or personal bests, etc. How much he let them toy with that, like just saying with Hutchinson needing, really just half a sack more, and I think he sets a career best. Montgomery, yeah, has to get to 1,000. Gibbs is close. I want to say Laporta needs 1 or 2 more receptions for some stuff. So there's a number of people in play for sure. Michael, then it's Gibbs' time to get his 1,000. Yeah, I want to say he's 80 or so yards off, somewhere in that vicinity. Miller, Mike it over. Yeah, I could see that. And in regards to getting people in and out, yeah, we'll let them hit their marks and get out. All right, Michael Gibbs. Yeah, I knew where you were going with that, man. Yeah. All right, Robert. Good morning, Dan and crew. Good morning to you too. Hopefully you're having a do one. All right, Jason, greetings and salutations from a Minnesota divided household. Oldest kid, Vikings fan, middle kid, Packers fan. Will say that both my sons will be sorely disappointed in the next game or 2. Do you agree? I see what you did there. Woo! So let's put it this way. I think the Lions will try to play to win. Minnesota, I can see if this game happens to get away from a little bit earlier, they really laid down against the Packers, and there's a lot of reasons for it. The Packers put it on them. Quarterback play for last weekend for Minnesota wasn't the greatest. That being said, if the Lions come out and establish a lead early, and then Minnesota, if they don't feel like they have a chance to make a comeback, yeah, you'll see the energy drop on their side exponentially, sort of like last week, to your point. It's just they know if they don't win, they're not getting in by any chance, and the likelihood of them getting in at this point is pretty low, irregardless. So it is what it is. Maybe we just have a good way to end the regular season at home and then get ready for the playoffs. So I do agree with you. Maybe I should just say that too. Phil, doobie-doo, Dan. Yep. And good morning to you too, Phil. Hopefully having a great one. Jason, Robert, not a single buddy of mine here has even a sliver of hope for the game or for the season. They're actually pulling for the Lions as they know I have waited 52 years for this. Okay, well, yeah, I'm glad your friends got your back and they're pulling for you, because Minnesota, I don't think they have much of a chance to win this game. Like I just said, let alone get in the playoffs. And then beyond that, yeah, the Packers, I really do think if we end up playing them, they have some opportunities to hit us in certain weaknesses for sure. I just really expect, go back to that Ford Field game, man, oh man, if we don't really turn the ball over, I don't think they have a chance. Plus, I think the blocking assignments will be a little bit more sound this game. I do think the good part about last weekend's fiasco against Dallas is I really think you've given this team a mission. They want to go face Dallas again in Dallas. and they want to put it on the Cowboys. So we'll see what happens. One game at a time, we all know. But I do think, Detroit's going to come out in that first playoff game and really put it on whoever they face, L.A. or the Packers. And it's no disrespect to either team. I just think at this point, this team's on a mission. I won't say it's the greatest mission since the Mike Utley situation. I get most of you probably weren't around for that one, but when that unfortunate thing happened to Mike Utley, that injury, you could see how it changed that team for that season. They really played with laser-like focus going forward, and it just took simply the best team in the league, the Washington they weren't the football team then, the Redskins, to stop them. But all right, we'll see what happens. All right, Clark, what do you got? Greetings and salutations all. If it were me, I'd rest everyone of meaning this game, except the number 3 seed, and get ready for either Green Bay or LA. Yeah, there's some thoughts there and some wisdom for that. Again, I can see the positives for both sides. Hey, get some reps, go for the win, pull guys after a series or two, let some guys play at all. All that stuff is true, 100%. Is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? I think it just comes down to each of our personal opinions. What MCDC is going to do, I mean, he says he's going to play everybody, but he does not illustrate how long or his intentions for that. So we're all going to have to wait and see. Phil, what do you got? Too much drama around this team. Is Dan a diva? I guess in what regards into the drama? Maybe there's something I missed yesterday, but Phil, if you can let me know, go ahead and throw it in the comment section, man. All right, Robert, is your younger one a Bears fan? Oh, that's a good question, Robert. Let's see what they say. Mike, what do you got? Phil, what drama? Maybe I missed something. Yeah, same here. I'm not sure of anything, but Phil may know. So let's wait and see. Michael, hey, Coach, I think you're doing a fantastic job. Woo! Thanks for that, man. Thanks for that very much, Michael. Robert, agreed. Thank you. Thank you for that. Michael, hit that like button. Yeah, I can't see it, as I've told you guys once or twice. I can't see the likes or anything while I'm on this screen. So if you guys have a free second, you're willing to hit the subscription button and thumbs up button, I surely would be thankful. All right, Jason, she used to ask, who are you rooting for? I used to say the team in blue that is losing. Not anymore, baby. Yeah, unfortunately, Lions fans, we've probably seen more than our fair share of losses over the last 20 years at least. Bit Lady, good morning, Coach and the Duke crew. Go Lions. Good morning to you too. Assuming you're all healed up and all healthy by now. If not, I hope you are trending that way. Robert, LOL, Jason Berry. Okay. Pat Rock, Michael, I agree. Love the show. And now it's officially a part of my drive to work or whatever in the morning. Thanks for that, guys. I mean, I enjoy hopping on here. Do what I can to get out here every morning for you guys. It's a part of my day too. And I really enjoy having this hour or a little bit more with you guys. All right, Robert, I know that feeling. Been 62 years waiting for a Super Bowl appearance. Well, let's hope we get it done this year because I do think there is a chance. All right, Bit Lady. AG voted by Lions players as their top number 1 DC in the league. A little bit of a popularity contest. Also, Dave Flip voted 4th. Ben was not in the top 5. Yeah, I saw some of that, and makes you wonder about some stuff, huh? I mean, I think we all know Isaiah Buggs, AG. Maybe they're not pen pals. Maybe they're not, best of buddies at this point. That being said, Buggs was let go of the team. They wasn't retained for whatever reason, and now he's over at Kansas City. AG, it would appear from yesterday's results of those votes, is a very beloved coach. We can all say he doesn't do this or that, but I do think he is improving. I think if you asked everyone in the chat or in the Lions fan base, if you look back 3 years ago to where he is today, he's definitely evolved as a DC. Do I think he's going to be gone at the end of the year? I'll be honest at this point. I don't think unless somebody hires him as a head coach, I don't think he's leaving. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he gets, just says, hey, I'm going to retirement, or hey, I want to seek another opportunity. That we'll have to wait and see. But Ben Johnson, to your point, Bit Lady, yeah, I was a little shocked by that one. All right, Angie, good morning. It's almost Sunday. Woo! Woo! Yes, it is. 48, well, like 50 some hours away from kickoff. And you know what? I know most of us are going to probably sitting there. If the Lions do go for the win in the no 1 o'clock time slot, we absolutely have a reason to watch the other games just to see is that chance of the number 2 seed going to be there for us. So the other part is you're going to want to see who we are ultimately going to end up playing in the playoffs. So a lot of reasons to sit back, kick back, maybe have a Mountain Dew or two. Maybe eat some buffalo dip and sit back and watch some football. And you know what? The good thing about this weekend is there really shouldn't be any stress, stress on Lions fans because win or lose, we're probably the number 3 seed. And, if we happen to get the number 2, great. But, it's just going to be probably a fun weekend for all fans. All right, Trey, greetings and salutations, everyone. What's good? A question mark. Dan really needs to make this show 2 hours. I'm starting to lean that way with, like I said, when I hopped on and put the thumbnail up this morning, I don't even think it was 6:30. And then I came back like 5-10 minutes later, and I was like, whoa, this chat is moving today. I better try to get on early, man. Michael, Pat Rock, yep, drinking my coffee. All right, well, yeah, coffee, I get you, man. You just don't want to drink the dew? I got you, man. I'm just messing with you, man. Jason, scenario, Hooker gets a quarter or 2 and lights it up while Goff has a terrible playoff game. Does it affect contract talks with Goff? This is only my opinion. This is only my opinion as a coach or GM or whatever you want to call me, what I've done in the past or whatever. I do think they are going to probably wait on contract talks until they see what they have in Hooker. Now, does that mean next year's OTAs, preseason, maybe the regular season? The good thing for the Lions is they have one more season with Goff. And then after that, could you always come out and say, hey, we're going to franchise him? We could franchise him 2 straight years. So really, you can have Goff under contract for 3 more years. And I would say this, I think the Lions, just my opinion, I don't have any kind of corroborating evidence or, somebody else giving me information on stuff, but I'm thinking more and more that might be the way they're going. If Goff comes out, like you're saying, Jason, and struggles, that's not going to help him. Right, wrong, or indifferent. If he has a big showing in the playoffs, goes out there, we get a playoff win, maybe 2, puts up some good numbers, doesn't have a bad game, that's obviously going to aid him. And, I guess ultimately, I think we're going to have to wait until next year to really find out where the franchise is going with him long term. Now, again, they could always franchise him a couple years, so long term could still be 3 years. All right, Kate, like this show a lot. Morning all, new sub. Hey, thanks for that, man. And thanks for that, Kate. Hopefully you're enjoying the show, and welcome to the club. Phil, welcome, Kate. Yes, indeed. Bill, don't risk players for a game that more than likely doesn't mean much. Okay, yeah, I think there's some wisdom for that. Like I said earlier, there's wisdom either way. Resting, playing, whatever. It's just as long as nobody gets hurt, that's going to be the big thing. Robert, welcome to UK. I like that. All right, Phil, foot on the gas all the time. Yeah, as soon as you let off that gas, man, it can really turn around and bite you in the butt. Robert, rev it up. Yeah, rev that gas, get it going, go plow through Minnesota, and then get ready for whoever in the first round. Dave, anyone going to the playoff game? I know there are some people, I think, from the chat that have talked about it. I know I've talked to Jen about it. I mean, she won't go. I know that. But the neighbors do go sometime, or they go to all the home games. Sometimes I go with them, but yeah, if you guys want to coordinate something, feel free in the comment section, see what you guys can do to maybe set up something. All right, JDC, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Go Lions, absolutely, 1,000%. Ed, Isaiah Bugs to KC, wasted no time. Yeah, and I could see where he might be a bit of an upgrade and a position of need for them. So that might be a good move for KC for sure. Phil, anyone afford a ticket for the playoffs? I had somebody talk to me about that, and I came up with an idea how they could sort of get the ticket for free. So I get a lot of you guys that maybe don't do stock trading or anything like that. But have you ever thought about getting a CD? Go to your bank. Some banks are offering 5.5% CD rates. Maybe a few you still might be able to get 5.7. But if you got a little bit of side cash and you want to help at least remove some of the costs from the playoff ticket, take some of your free money if you got any and buy a CD for 6 months, a year. As long as you don't need that money right away, you might be able to make enough to help pay for a ticket or at least help defray the cost of it, and your money is guaranteed. So just an idea. I threw that at them, and I think they were able to pay for a third, maybe a half of the ticket that way. So the ticket became a lot cheaper then. So just a thought for you guys. All right, Robert, wouldn't it be interesting this year's draft when Detroit finally gets the rest of the pieces? Yeah, and it'll be interesting, Robert, to see where they go in the draft this year. I know free agency will obviously affect their draft, or at least potentially, but I think this team is pretty close. You're going to have to make some hard choices with some guys to potentially cut, and then also guys to resign. But I think a lot of the team is in pretty good shape as far as you're looking at your next few years, salary cap wise, etc. You add some strong players in free agency and the draft, this team could really be something for a few years to come. So I agree with you fully on that one. All right, Robert. If only you had an extra 1,000 to burn, yeah, I would go to the playoff game. Are they that expensive now? I was thinking you could still get a ticket for like 200-300, but maybe I'm just way off course. Yeah, maybe my idea ain't gonna work, guys. If they're $1,000 each, yeah, each. JDC, I can barely afford to sit in front of the tube for the games. Yeah, to be honest, I don't mind going to a good pub or staying at home and watching it. Sometimes I go over to the Sarge's house and we watch a game or two. I go to the Ford Field once in a while, but to me, it's about 3 hours there, 3 hours back. And then obviously most people when they go, they want to tailgate for a few hours. So it's a day, and I don't mind doing that sometimes. I just can't do it as often as perhaps I would like. All right, mile marker. Coach, do you expect to see the new calls this game from see any new calls from AG or BJ? In other words, is this a dress rehearsal for or for new plays? I would put it this way. I think personnel standpoints, yes, you'll probably see some different stuff out there just because you want to work on those nuances before the games really matter. As far as plays, I would think, Mile, that you're going to keep those under wrap if you're going to use them, in next rounds, the opening round of the playoffs, the wild card games, just because you don't want to tip teams off unless, I guess you could say, hey, we do some of that stuff in a game that ultimately doesn't matter to us to try to give the other team too much stuff to prepare for that we know we're not going to use. So you could be right there. You could try to throw out some bad information, basically, just to mislead other teams. We'll wait and see what happens, though. All right, Clark, at Phil, I've been saving for 30 years for this game. I'm going. Thankfully, the Lord gave me 2 kidneys. Yeah, I could see a lot of people justifying that way, that it could be another 30 years until they have another playoff game. Hopefully not. But yeah, Clark, if you're probably around my age or older, yeah, the chance of you being around another 30 years for another playoff game, if it takes that long, bank in while you got it, man. Go for it. All right, Robert, if Goff has a terrible playoff game, Jason, I believe he won't be extended. Yeah, if the Lions go 0-1 in the postseason and he has a bad playoff game, yeah, that's probably not going to help his contract extension opportunities. All right, Robert, I say save the new plays for the playoff game. Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably what they would do. And again, unless they're going to try to throw out some sort of misdirection by showing you one thing when really they're trying to set up another thing. All right, Detroit D, good morning, One Pride. Are you all ready for our first ever Super Bowl victory? I am. Hopefully you are too. And I tell you, man, for that Super Bowl, when we make it, maybe I will have to host like a live game, whatever, broadcast or whatever. I know there's a couple people that do it and they do a great job. But at that point, you're probably just playing with house money, having fun. I'd probably be all about it, man. Jason, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, I will buy a house from you, Dan, in the Gaylord, Michigan area. Plan on it. All right, we'll make that happen, man. Glad to help you. Bit Lady, I read from Kyle Shanahan that the analytics to support playing for win or sitting players is not so clear at the game level. He said it really comes down to reviewing on a player-by-player basis. Yeah. And I know, Bit Lady, I know we talked about it a little bit last week, that I just didn't think, at least in my head, that the data was there to really suggest one thing's absolutely the correct way to go or the other. As long as a player doesn't get hurt, I think really you're kind of at par. You're neither winning nor losing on it. But that being said, somebody gets hurt, all eyes are going to say this was the stupidest move ever playing that guy. So I know there's been a ton of games where or teams that have rested guys the last game of the regular season and then went out and lost the first game of the playoffs. So can I say it's the majority? No, but I think it is pretty close to 50-50. All right, bit lady, players injuries, players returning needing timing, players who might need the game experience, players needing to clear up technique in game, except lots of variables and no clear cut answer. I would agree with that. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of ways to look at it. The only thing I will say to you guys, and this is just from my coaching experience and my personality, when it comes to the playoffs, I would hate having the first round bye, just because in my opinion, it's easier when both teams are starting the playoffs and they both have the playoff jitters, whatever you want to call it. They're getting out of their systems at the same time. But in a game like football, I mean, the margin for error between even the best team and the worst team in the league are usually not that far apart. I mean, look at the Arizona Cardinals and all the frustrations they've given to multiple teams this year. So where I'm going with this is, if you get that first round playoff win and now you face a team who had a bye, yes, they're going to be a little bit healthier, but they are now going through getting rid of their opening game playoff jitters while you've already done that. And if you can get one turnover, one tip pass, whatever it is to really, put the game in your favor momentarily, those playoff nerves for a lot of people, now that you're in a hole and realizing it's the end is there if we don't overcome this, start exacerbating. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people. You've heard me talk about on the show when you go out scouting and you're watching people, it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes to figure out if somebody's got the physical skills, the actual skills to play a position or whatever. And then you have to sit around for about an hour and a half evaluating their personality. Most people don't handle pressure incredibly well. That's why there's such a shortage of quarterbacks. But that trickles down to other positions. Now you get a team, and if they happen to have 50, 60% of the guys that don't handle pressure well in a playoff game where they're jittery, and now maybe there's a big fumble that went for a fumble 6 or a pick 6, where now that's just fuel to that nervousness fire. Yeah, you could see teams tank in a hurry. Phil, why Gaylord? We'll have to wait and find out. Robert, what do you think of my new icon pick, Coach? Let's see what it says. Yeah, the shirt. Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think you did a good job with that. Yeah, I remember when he sent that to me. That you did good work there, Robert, man. Good work indeed. K-pop. I hate most of the YouTubers out there. Dan, you've grown on me enough where I mildly accept you. Well, thanks for that, K-pop. I guess you don't totally hate me, so I'll go with it, man. That's good. Detroit D. It's also great to have a good young player as foundational pieces for the future. Yeah, Detroit, to your point, D, they've got a lot of them. They've got a lot of real good young pieces. Phil, how's your team doing, Dan? We're doing great. So I know the first rankings come out, I want to say next week, and there's a chance we could be in the top 10. So we'll see what the voters have to say. But I think, yeah, we've got a shot at it. All right, let's see. Robert G, I have a dumb question. No such thing, man. What does the MC stand for in Motor City Dan Campbell in MCDC? Yeah, Motor City Dan Campbell. Yep, D's got you. Robert, yep, thanks. I thought it was my coach. It could be my coach, Dan Campbell. There you go, man. He's starting a new one. Mike, what is going on with the NFL? Hey, there's always questions about it. But, that's where you also know, look at this. We can all debate, especially after last weekend, the NFL, is it rigged? Is it this? Is that? It's another thing. The refs are terrible. But people are only saying these things because they're so passionate about the game, about the product on the field, etc. If nobody cared, none of this would even matter and wouldn't even be talked about. So, while there's things I definitely think they should improve upon, I would also say the NFL has got a pretty good product out there, but it doesn't mean they can't get better with certain things. All right, Joseph. Good morning to you, Coach Dan. Thanks for that, Joseph. I am finally stepping away from that game because a lot of good still come from that game. I am definitely looking forward to the playoffs. So more so now that after seeing that. Yeah, and Joseph, the good part about the game is, hey, man, just use that as fuel to your fire. Get through this weekend and have a mission. Whoever you're going to face in that first game, let's go obliterate them so we can get our shot at Dallas again. And I think it seems to be what MCDC, the coaching staff, and the players are doing. So it could end up being a real galvanizing force. Raw Podcast. Hey, Dan, love the channel in the morning. Thanks for that, man. Keep up the great work to you, do, man. Well, thanks for that, Raw. Thanks very much. So I know you guys do a phenomenal job. There's a lot of great YouTubers out there. I get, some people don't like this person or that person, but that's okay. You don't have to like everybody. Raw Podcast, I know, does a good job. And there's a lot of good ones out there. I've reached out in the last few days to a couple different ones. And Raw, I know I haven't reached out to you, but if you want to, I wouldn't mind doing more collaborative stuff, getting people on different shows, whether it's my show or going on other shows like I do sometimes micro mics and stuff. I think it makes it more fun, especially when you incorporate guys from other teams, just because they're probably going to be more privy to inside information that maybe you and I don't know about with, team A, Y, B, D or whatever. So I think it'd be fun to do more of that stuff. Joseph, we can actually play with Dallas. Yeah, I think we can actually beat them. So I think to your point, I think that's the thing. This team now wants that rematch, and they want it bad. They want to get after it. Detroit D, I want a rematch with Dallas. We win by 6. I'll take that. And I think you're right. I think it's all roads lead to Dallas at this point. And then you get through that, you're one game away from the Super Bowl. Yeah, you'll be pretty fired up. Jerome, good morning, Coach. Would you let a player play to get a personal record or just focus on trying to win the game? I would say this. I would let them try to get the record en route to us trying to get the win. The win's got to be first and foremost. But in the course of the game, if you can go ahead and get that, I wouldn't go out of the way to get it as long as I would allow the player to go for it as long as it didn't impact the game. So we get a big lead, let's say later in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and we can do something to help that person get that achievement, sure. But while the game's in question, I'm not doing anything different to try to help them out. You get it because of it, great. So hopefully that answers it. All right, Jason, the only motivation the Vikings have is the, quote, so-called dirty hit on Hawkinson from Kirby. Legal hit, by the way. Yeah, watching that thing, I didn't think it was dirty at all. You went low to tackle somebody, which is legal, and it does happen all the time in the league. So, yeah, I don't see where it was dirty by any means. I think that people are only calling it dirty because he got hurt. So if that's your standard, there are going to be a whole lot of dirty hits every game because a lot of people get hurt every game. All right, Robert. AG said multiple packages for the DBs. Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why they're going to leave the secondary out there maybe a little bit longer than other positions. So if you're pulling most people after, say, 2 series, I could see where they're doing 3 with the majority of the secondary just so they can work on some different setups, matchups, etc. with Gardner Johnson getting out there. And I think you got to do it because you don't want to address these things a week later where you're trying to figure it all out in a meaningful playoff game. Raw, hopefully Gibbs and Montgomery go over 1,000 yards for the season. Also, what do you think about St. Brown getting snubbed in the Pro Bowl? I was surprised by that. I would love to hear some of the logic and wisdom behind it. Are they really saying there's that many other guys in the NFC or in the NFL as a whole that are better than this guy? I guess one could argue that we're all homers because he's a Detroit Lion and we think he's better than he is. But I watch him and I go, man, I'm not going to say he's the top guy in the league or the top 3, but is he top 10? I don't see how you could say no. And that's, I guess that's where I would have to hear somebody's wisdom behind why he wasn't included because I just don't see it. Now, the good part of that as Lions fans is this dude lives with not just chips on his shoulder, but stacks of chips on his shoulder. And now you just put another one up there. Yeah, he's coming. He's coming for blood these next 2 games. He's going to come out. He's going to go after people. So thank you for the free fuel, I guess is what I would be saying. Detroit D. It should be decided by matchup and skills when using our 4 safeties on the field. Yeah, and I think that's what it's probably going to come down to. Unless, who knows, maybe they've got some sort of packages we don't know about yet, and they're going to wait until the game to reveal them. But I could see some situations where they play. We were pretty blessed with some good safeties at this point and some depth. Could they play somebody as a weak side linebacker or the will spot? So I do think there is some potential for that because we do have some safeties that like to shoot gaps, and you can include Brian Branch in there with that and get into the backfield, bust up running plays while getting to the quarterback as well. Joseph, but I am proud of this team. I mean, we got to remember at the end of the day, this is a very, very young Lions team and a lot of rookies make playing. So like when things go bad and go wrong. Yeah. There's nothing but upside, I would think, with this team. To your point, the majority of the team was really 3 years or less in the NFL, and they're going to keep developing, improving. I think Aleem McNeil, I mean, you start getting to year number 3, 4, and 5, the chance of you making big jumps as far as improvements start diminishing somewhat. But I think Aleem McNeil's still going to get better? Sure. Do I think Penei Sewell is going to get better as Amon-Ra St. Brown? Yes. The rookies and the second-year guys are probably where you'll see the biggest jumps next year. But, yeah, we've got a pretty good young team for a while. All right, Jerome, hey, Coach, would you tolerate a player's bad attitude if he is really good at what he do, or is he off the team? I wouldn't tolerate it. I'd have some conversations with them and see how they respond to that. At some point, though, take it for however you want. But if you accept certain things out of a person, even if they're the best player on the team, that trickles down to everybody else. They all now got a free pass to go and do stuff. So it's just me. Maybe I'm 1,000 years old and I'm just wired that way or whatever, but you make some examples. And I would also want to talk to that player and say, hey, if you really want to do something, at the next level or be more marketable, be able to get another contract, whatever it is, you got to use that as fuel. How much more marketable are you to advertisers or to a team who wants to give you another contract, a bigger contract, if you can, be a team player, if you can be great in front of the cameras, just be a voice of reason or calm, especially if you're probably the best player in the team. Most people, if you start talking in that way, they typically make some adjustments because they get where you're going with things. You're trying to look out for their behalf and trying to help them get to ultimately where they want to go. Most people, if they're distracted to the team, it's probably more reflective of something inwards with them where, hey, they just want more attention. And there's a multitude of reasons for it, but you can help them say, hey, I get what you want. We can get you there. We just need to do it in a different way. So just food for your thoughts, man. All right. Matthew Greens, the salutations. Good morning, everyone. And same to you, my friend. The pastor, MCDC, greatest Lions coach ever. He's making a push for that, isn't he? He's definitely the greatest in the last 20 plus years. I still think Wayne Fontes, while he had his distractors, was pretty good. But yeah, MCDC is probably the greatest thing in at least the last 20 years that's happened to the Detroit Lions. I think he's awesome. All right, Detroit D at Rod Podcast. We've been starving for years for a dominant running game. Yeah, and we finally got one, and it's good to see. Joseph, but I'm excited for this young team. It's a young dynasty in the making, and we are going to have something to look forward to for years to come. So I'm glad it's finally in Detroit. You're 100% correct on that. Brent, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. I was encouraged when Aleem said he felt fresh. We need him for a deep playoff run. Yeah, that will be Brent, you're 100% right. That will be one of the positives of getting some of these guys back is their bodies will be a lot fresher. We've talked about like Hutchinson, how they've dropped his workload the last, we'll just say month, and you could see he's getting some energy back in his pass rush moves, his first step, his dip, all these things, his hand placement and ability to shred, his swim moves, all those things. You can see he's getting fresher. So now you look at someone like Aleem, that knee is right, and I'm guessing if they're putting him on the field, it is fairly correct or healed up. Yeah, he's going to have some energy. Same with Hutchinson, same with Garner Johnson. And it's a great time of the year to get 2, 3, 4 guys back on the field that haven't played in a while that can just help pick everybody else's play up with their energy levels. Raw Podcast, they want the 1,000 yards because it's incentives on reaching thousands in the season. Yeah, 100%. Most people do have some sort of stipulations on certain statistical clauses in their contract. And who doesn't like bonus money? Jerome, good morning, Coach. Have you ever told your players to set personal goals and help them achieve it? I've talked about it with players in different teams, and it can change based on the level. I mean, you're talking professional level, college level, high school level, etc. The goals do change, and you probably need to just help them make goals that fit their personal situations. And from there, go after it and help them achieve it. Southwest Dan, congrats on to AG being voted the number 1 DC by the players. If his defense keeps performing when it is recently, I think he may be a head coach somewhere. Yeah, he's going to get some opportunities, especially to your point. They come out here in the postseason and do some stuff, and people see where they were at the start of the year, the middle of the year, and how much they've evolved. Yeah, that's going to add a lot to his stock. Jerome, good morning, Coach. In the NFL, who tells the players that they're going to be cut, the coach or his agent? Typically, it's the coach and or general manager. Sometimes it could be a positional coach, but I'd say out of a respect level, which I believe you have in Detroit, it's going to be your coach. So it could be the offense coordinator, defense coordinator, or Dan Campbell. Maybe rare situations, like I said, Brad Holmes would handle it, but those are typically the guys you would get. All right, Hooker time. Great rookie class. Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, and Branch Howard in theaters to come. Hooker will be the best. All right, we'll go with that, Hooker time. All right, Robert G., I totally agree with that assumption, Dan. They are on a mission. Yeah, they're fueled up and ready to go. Uncle Buzz, Captain Obvious slept in today. Hey, it happens, man. It happens. Hey, what's this? Joseph, hey, $2 for the crew. I take it, man. I will take that. Thank you very much. I will have a Mountain Dew with that. Robert, I was watching the whole season during my the Mike Utley year. It was a great season. Yeah, and what happened that game, it's unfortunate. And then I think it was just, was it 2 years or 3 years later with Reggie Brown almost having the same injury? I mean, he literally, and this is no exaggeration for you younger kids, he died on the field. They brought him back, and he had some injuries. He was able to return to walking and living a normal life. But, those were a couple of bad years for the Lions, and that was right after, or I should say, Utley's injury was just, I think, a year after. I can't remember his name now. He was an outstanding guard for the Lions. He was trimming his bushes for his house, and a semi driver fell asleep, went off the road, and because he was trimming the bushes, he had the things on the ears to protect his ears. He got ran over in his front lawn by a semi truck, and I cannot remember his name right now. I want to say Compton, but don't hold me to that. Yeah, it was just an unfortunate couple years for the Lions. Robert G., hey, thanks for this. So not only will I get a Mountain Dew today at the Circle K, by the way, I am apparently going to be able to get a hot dog too. So I thank you both for that. That's really awesome for both of you guys. Thank you. I enjoy it exponentially. So thanks, guys. Keith, what do you got? Bugs shouldn't have been let go. Yeah, and we all wonder why he was. What? When it happened, I was surprised because it seemed like whatever the disagreement was between the coaching staff and Bugs, it kind of gone away because he'd played so well. But man, I guess it just goes to show, man, coaches, you have an idea, you stick to them, you believe in it. And, I'm just happy for Bugs that he's gotten picked up by somebody else. So it is an unfortunate situation. I'm not sure why they cut him versus other people, but the coaching staff, if you believe in them, they clearly felt like, hey, other people are equal to or maybe even slightly better than him. So we're gonna let him go. And they're the only ones who can answer the question why. I was surprised by that. All right, Chronicles of LD. I'm glad to see that we have 5 Pro Bowl players, but should have been 6. At St. Brown should have been a Pro Bowler. Yeah, St. Brown should have been a Pro Bowler. I don't know why he isn't. And I guess we're just going to have to wait until somebody says why that didn't happen, because it's beyond me. All right, Jerome, good morning, coach. In the NFL, when reporters are asking questions to players and coaches, are they trying to get them to say something to hurt the team? MCDC told a guy, say what you want to say. I'll be very fair. Having worked in the industry since the 80s or late 80s, there's a lot of people that are just trying to get, I guess, headlines or clickbait or whatever. They want to try to trip up a coach or a player, to your point, just to get them to say something that they can manipulate into something that's going to sell a product in newspapers, YouTube shows or whatever. And it is what it is. It's been around in that way since the 1800s. I know when I started, I had a great editor, a couple of them. One of them, Felix Reset, had been literally an editor since the 1930s. And he would say, no, we need bigger, we need to highlight that word. He'd have his stogie here, and, he'd have a beverage too. And he'd say, we need this to be the headline, reword this or whatever. And he was great at what he did. I mean, his job was to sell papers. And to your point, Jerome, that's what not all reporters do, but there are some reporters out there that, they want to get promotions. They want to get bigger checks, however you want to put it. So they are trying to get people to say something they really shouldn't, or in a manner they shouldn't, just for that reason. All right, Nathan, good morning, Duke Crew. Same to you, my friend. Mr. Nico, I don't want to be that guy who said this channel would be 5K by December a few months ago, but I was right. Now 10K before the draft, because we can do it. Let's go, Coach Dan. Let's go, Duke Crew. Thanks for that, Mr. Nico. I mean, you proved me wrong, man, because I was thinking, man, if I can get 100 subscribers, I'm probably doing all right. And when I got to 500, I was like, man, how about that? So I never guessed this would happen. But any wildest imaginations. Nathan, let's get these likes up, guys and gals. Help our guy out. Thanks for that. Yeah, and again, can't see what they are, so if you can help out, I would be thankful. Michael, we win North first time ever, go to the playoffs, and MF won a 30-year-old third-round rookie to replace the QB who got us out of the mud. Hey, it happens, man. I would say this. All the different teams I've covered, the backup quarterback is usually the most popular guy. You look at Goff's stats and compare them to the rest of the NFL. If you took the names away, it'd probably be hard for people to figure out who Goff is and isn't, because his stats are pretty legit this year. He's had a few bad games, but, man, I can remember Jim Kelly having games where he threw 3 or 4 picks. I remember Joe Montana doing it. I can remember Warren Moon doing it. And these are some of the all-time greats. And I'm not saying Goff is an all-time great, but he's also not trash. And that's the thing. We've all talked about on the show. You can like the guy, you can hate him. Go with whatever works for you. But finding somebody better than him is going to be a whole lot harder than it is to go the opposite direction and get somebody worse than him. So see what shakes out. All right, Brandon, let's go. That's what I'm saying. Let's go. Keep it going. Southwest, I've been an AG critic. I hadn't noticed, but he has turned a corner recently. He has. I agree with you there. It's not just to improve player execution, but it's also better use of personnel schematic changes. Yeah, I'm 100% agreeing with you, Southwest. All jokes aside, he's grown up a lot. And I think a big part of it was the coaching staff had a lot of loyalty towards Tracy Walker. And not that Tracy Walker was, one way or the other with team, but getting him out of the lineup, and we've talked about it for a while, that has helped the coverage a ton, because you don't have to only play zone. You don't have to try to hide Walker and his lack of coverage skills all over the field. It's not like he's a bum. It's not like he's a bad dude. It's not like he's a bad player. It's just he has certain things he's good at, certain things he's really not good at. And zone or man, his coverage skills just aren't that great. His long-term, if he wants to stay in the NFL, in my opinion, he's got to be a special team guy, and he needs to become a weak side linebacker. He's going to have to beef up, and then maybe he can eke out another 3 or 4 years in the league, which is no small feat, by the way. Ed, good morning, Coach. If the Vikes had rested Hockenson, he would never have gotten hurt. It's football. You play to win. 100% right. And you can blame those dang dirty coaches in every team. When a guy gets hurt, well, he shouldn't have been on that play. And I fully agree with what you're saying there. You could rest them for this weekend. Yeah. You could play them. Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen? You go out there, you make your best guesses, you make your best choices, and live with the results. Big M, what do we got here? Lions win on Sunday. No way Mcdc allows these Lions to go into the playoffs with a 2-game losing streak. And this is also true. I like the way you're thinking, especially when they haven't lost back-to-back all year. This is also true. Ed, I want a big win Sunday. Let's see what they can do for you, Ed. I know, hey, that'll make your morning fishing a little bit nicer. All right, Kevin, greetings and salutations for Cincinnati. We need to win on Sunday. Don't want to go into the playoffs with a loss. I agree. There is some logic to that and wisdom. Ed, 12-5 or bust. I like it. Go with it. Man, it's probably been 30 years since we've had a 12-win team. Somebody let me know in the comment section. I can't look it up while I'm on the air. Matthew, put Montgomery out there until he goes over 1,000. Put my Gibbs out there and hope for a good run. Yeah, really with him. With both of them, to be fair, it could be just one run. But with Gibbs, yeah, he's got a little bit more possibility of that happening all in one. Keith, I agree. We have to be with our foot on the accelerator, mash down on their necks, crush that windpipe in all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. Yeah, play to win, play aggressive. I would say this: when you start playing passive, when you start playing less physical, that's when dudes get hurt. When you're the one thumping and doing the hitting, it's just there's less likeliness of you getting hurt. So yeah, keep the foot on the gas. Minnesota last week looked like they were starting to check out, and that's why the game got away. Give them some reason early in the game to say, nah, you need to check out right here and now. And, let's just both teams just get through this game. All right, Southwest, there really is no pressure on the Lions to extend Goff at this point. They could franchise tag him for 2 years after the contract is up next year. If he lights it up in the postseason, who knows? Yeah, 100%. You got him bare minimum 3 more years, and it's 3 years where you can either evaluate what you have in Hooker or whoever else and go from there. Robert G, 500 to 600 ticket, 400 for the celebration spirits. We'll see what happens. I would say this. Ticket prices have gone up. Hey, one of the first people to ever talk to me while I was doing a YouTube channel, Luke G, Fields Review. We up early. Let's get this collaboration, brother. Yeah, let's find a way to chat and set that up, because I think that would be awesome, man. You need me to come on your show, or you want to come on this show, let me know and we'll make it happen. I think that would be a lot of fun, man. So let me know how to get a hold of you, or I'll shoot you a message or whatever on your channel. If you want to go back to the start of the show, you can get my cell number. And if you want, man, shoot me a text and we'll figure it out. But let's make it happen. That'd be cool. Robert, after a win. Yes. Celebrate after the win. Correct. Clarkston, what do you got? What happened to that small college linebacker they signed, Nowitzki or something similar? Did they cut him? Yeah, they let him go. I'm trying to remember if somebody else has signed him, but I think it was like last week. Yeah, they got rid of him to make roster spots for some of the guys coming back. Morning, Luke G. Yeah, Detroit D. Yeah, Luke's a good dude. Really like his stuff. Southwest at Luke G. Hope you're doing well. Congrats to AG being voted best DC by players. Yes, agreed. Bit Lady Clarkston. Nowitzki was picked up by the Titans, I believe, when we caught him. Yep, I thought somebody had signed him. I just couldn't remember offhand. All right, Detroit D. We need a physical corner that can run. Yeah, I would say a corner who's physical, a little bit of size, that would help us out going forward in years to come. All right, Matthew, prices for tickets are going to be so high for that just to go. Then you're going to have to do like Mickey Redmond, the Lions Talk live experience, tour bus tailgate, garbage cans full of Mountain Dew. That's an idea. A Lions Talk live experience. Yeah, buses filled with Mountain Dew, maybe not just Mountain Dew, and yeah, some sort of celebration. Maybe I need to go with somebody to try to market that and make that happen. Matthew, maybe you could get Mountain Dew as a sponsor. I have reached out to him. There was somebody in the chat like a week or two ago that said you need to recommend a Mountain Dew, a Honolulu Blue Dew. And I actually did write something up and send that over. I have not heard anything back from the Pepsi Cola company. That doesn't mean I won't keep pushing it, though. All right, Southwest, Bit Lady. Nowitzki was picked up by the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, that's 2 players they've swiped from us. Starling Thomas and Whiskey, both of which I wish the Lions had kept. Yep, and there you just have to believe there's a reason Southwest the Lions coaching staff kept other players over them. CJ, happy Friday, Coach Dan. Thank you for another day of entertainment. I enjoy it, man. So CJ, I hope you're enjoying it as well. Michael, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful. Same to you, and hopefully you're having a great one. Jason, Gaylord, Michigan is where I was introduced to blue Kool-Aid from my favorite uncle Bobby, aka Robert Yankee. All right, there we go. At Southwest, thanks for the correction. All right. Troy, Ben Johnson came out saying they are aware of the individual accolades for the players, and they are here to help them. I'm expecting Laporta and Gibbs to have big days. They just might, yeah. And I would just say as a coach, I wouldn't go out of our way for it, but get it during the course of the game. And then, if the game is secured at one point, or if you're just saying, hey, we're calling off the dogs, or we don't care about the game anymore, then maybe go for it. Tim, hey, everyone. God is good all the time. Good morning. And God is good for you too, Tim. Hopefully you're having a great morning. All right. Keith, Teddy B announced that he is retiring at the end of the season. Should we put him in the game this weekend, especially if we can get a good lead? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the swan song. I get he hasn't been a Lion for long, but hey, he's been a great personality. It seems like everyone on the team loves him. I think if they get an opportunity to get him in, they're going to. Just out of respect for him. I mean, he's had a pretty good career. Southwest Dan, does Bridgewater have any interest in coaching? I'd like to keep them on the Lions staff if he has any interest. From my understanding, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but he's retiring so he can actually coach his kids. So, yes, he's going to get into coaching. I don't think that will extend to NFL coaching unless they're going to offer him some sort of like limited basis where he can go coach his kids and then help out here. But we'll wait and see what happens with that. Big M, wishing everyone a blessed 2024 filled with love and happiness. Same to you, Big M. Hopefully you're having a great one. And hopefully the Lions continue to put smiles on everybody's faces. Big M at Southwest Lion, I believe I read Teddy is going to coach high school football. Yeah, with his kids, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. All right, Southwest, rest starters you avoid injuries, but no guarantee they will come back hitting in all the cylinders in the first playoff game. This is true. That's why if you are going to pull guys, if it's me, and doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong, just my thoughts, I'm letting them all get a couple series in, maybe a quarter, maybe a half at the most. I'd let them out there just to keep them, kind of, I guess you could say, in tuned or game shape, and then give them the rest of the game off. Pukinuga over Sun God. Hey, Devin, it is what it is. And a lot of times it's a popularity contest. Southwest St. Brown will use all the Pro Bowl snubs as further motivation. Not that he needs it. Lack of motivation has never been a problem for him. No, I agree. He's going to take it next level because of this. D. Hill, St. Brown is a top 5 in every receiving category. Yeah, and it's just odd that he didn't get in. I would love to hear the logic and wisdom behind that. Snotes, St. Brown is top 5 in every wide receiver category. Another NFL mess over job. Yeah, I would agree with that. That it does seem to raise some eyebrows, don't it? Southwest, all the all pro selections are largely a popularity contest. I would agree with that also. I agree with that. Like how you're thinking, Dan. Hey, every once in a while I get something right, man. Every once in a while. All right, Miles Marker. Amon-Ra St. Brown is more than a good wide receiver to be sure, but he's also a very sophisticated, smart, likable man, and that intimidates people. There's probably some truth to that, man. There's probably some real truth to that. Dudes can play or speak multiple languages. He's very versed and all this stuff. Yeah, there might be some jealousy from some people, possibly. Detroit D, if St. Brown had JMO speed, he would be AB without the headache. Man, that is a great thought right there. He would be a dominant. I mean, he's already a dominant receiver, but he would be another level up. All right, Fletch, do we know the schedule for the wild card games next weekend? Not for our particular team. I don't think they've been assigned a slot yet. My guess is probably by Sunday afternoon, maybe later in the day at the most. We'll all know what time slot we're playing in. All right, Southwest mile marker. St. Brown is a leader, mature beyond his years. He is very much so. You give credit to those parents, man. They seem to have done a great job with their kids. All right, Jason Amaran has 11 more receptions, 4 more TDs, more yards per game than Nuka with one less game being played. Not to mention one more 360 TD flip. Roger Goodell influence. It's possible. I would hope Goodell wouldn't go to that level, but you never know, man. Devin, good morning, Coach. What is your take on Justin Fields? Do you think Fields is done in Chicago? If it's me, Devin, heck no. I'd be building around him. I'd probably take that number 1 pick and try to trade down, see if he can get it, 2 additional first rounders or something like that. I think the Bears, I'm not saying they won't move on from him, but I just think if you continue to develop him, he is a matchup nightmare for just about every team. Now, you've got to believe, and they're around him a whole lot more than I am. You got to believe that, yes, you can improve that accuracy. You can improve all those other aspects of the game. But I just think, man, I'd be building the team around him and putting together a dominant team where maybe he doesn't have to do so much. That's me, though. That's what I would do. The other part of it is, too, I'd tell him that and say, hey, you want to stay here? We're signing you a contract, and here are the terms. You might not get the top dollar, but you're going to be starting quarterback here for a while. That would be another factor with it, too. Robert G., I'm sure they are waiting for matchups for primetime slots in the playoffs. Just my opinion. Yeah, they want to see who the matchups are before they probably assign slots. Yeah, you're 100% there, Robert. Broski, Lamb, A.J. Brown, Nowicka, and Mike Evans made the NFC Pro Bowl over St. Brown, DJ Moore, and Brandon. It was a tough call for sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it would be good to hear the logic and wisdom behind it all. That's all I'm saying. All right, Southwest Dan, will we see some experimentation from AG with Iffy, Joseph, CJ Gardner on the field at the same time? Yeah, and Southwest, I think that's why what I was talking about earlier, where I think you're going to see the secondary play. If everybody else plays and they pull them out after a series or two, you're probably seeing an additional series or two from just the secondary components just for that reason. You want to get Gardner Johnson back in the field, get him, his legs back under him, back in the flow of things. But the other part is you want to experiment now in a game that ultimately, if you don't win, it's not the end of the world. You want to get those things out of the way here and use this basically as just an exhibition game. All right, Southwest Raw Podcast, Luke, I'd like to see you guys have a Lions Talk live on your show and vice versa. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to work out. I've reached out to a couple people, even one guy who I know is not a fan of mine. I think he does a decent job with stuff. He has not responded in kind, but I've reached out to Luke. I've reached out to actually probably about 4 or 5 guys in the last day or two, maybe a few more than that, to try to see, especially going to the playoffs, if a couple people want to talk. If we do play the Packers or the Rams, I'm trying to reach out to some of those YouTubers as well. Say, hey, can we get Luke G and some of you guys and, whoever, Micro Mike and, maybe Mark Orem or just whoever, and say, hey, can we do an hour-long show where we all talk about, hey, you're the Rams or you're the Packers. What are your fears with the Lions? What do you think you can hit us at? Strengths and weaknesses and vice versa. I think it would be fun, man. Matt Eric Andelsack. Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, Andelsack was his name. Yeah. And yeah, hell of a sad story there, man. Yeah. That was a underrated offensive line during those years. Yeah, they were pretty damn good. That early 90s Lions line. Yeah. Thanks, JP. Thanks, Terry. Slim. Yeah, all of you guys. Yeah. Thanks for that. Chuck Hughes died on the field in 71. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. It's the year before I was born, so I wasn't around to watch it. But it's unfortunate, man. But it is part of the risk of playing football. Slim, I certainly don't miss the Chuck Long days. That was rough. Yeah, Chuck Long ended up being a pretty decent college coach, but yeah, he could not make the transition from college star quarterback to NFL. And so when I do scouting and when it comes to stuff like these guys, I would say it's not really my forte, but the biggest thing I notice is just watching how guys handle the last second defensive adjustments. There's a lot of guys in college of the OC sound that, hey, they're going to call out the play. The quarterback has about a 90% chance of being right where the first read or second read is. Difference in from most college teams to the pro levels is most NFL teams, once the quarterback goes under center, they now make a last-second adjustment to shift things around. So you think something's available here in read, 1 or 2, but it's actually not because they made a last-second adjustment, and that's where most quarterbacks, like Chuck Long, to your point, I hate saying it, but Andre Ware struggled with it too. Rodney Peete, I thought, did his rookie year, maybe a second year, I don't know, where all of a sudden they have to get used to making faster reads and adjustments post-snap, and that's where some guys, they don't ever get there, man. They can't do it. Anyways, Keith, dumb question. During a game when a player has to go to the bathroom, are there systems set in place for them to do so, i.e. porta potty? Not on the field, but right in the tunnels. In most stadiums there are, so you don't have to go far. Funny you should mention that, though, because when was it, this year or last year, when Seattle played in Detroit, I'm trying to remember his name, Metcalf had to go, and he had to go now, and he told his team that, yeah, he ain't making that run unless it's going to get real nasty on the field. So they had to put him on the cart and, hustle him out into the tunnel so he could hit one of the porta johns or the immediate bathrooms out there. He had to go that bad. And, hey, that's why before the game and at halftime, players are supposed to expel the bowels, because the wrong hit hits you in the wrong spot. You might expel on the field if you don't. And apparently he probably took a hit in that moment. It's like, yeah, I got to go now. So it does happen, man. Unfortunately for those guys. Southwest Bit Lady, you're welcome. I just don't understand when they kept Will Harris over Thomas. I'll never get that one. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that are probably agreeing with you on that. Durham, what do you got? Eric Anosek was a guard that got run over by the semi. Yeah, and thanks for pointing out the name, guys. I couldn't remember offhand. Chad, I just don't want to pay Goff more than $35 million because we need to keep the other guys on the team, or Goff will be closer to trash. Yeah, and I'd say Goff's representation is probably aware of that as well. We'll see what happens the offseason. All right, guys, it's been over an hour. I've got to get getting so I can get ready for work and all that stuff. It is a game day for me, so if there's some breaking news and it's earlier in the day, I'll go ahead and get it to you guys as fast as possible. Starts getting a little bit later, early part of the evening. Yeah, I won't be around until tomorrow. So hopefully y'all have a great one. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about 70 subs away from 5,500. If you do your part to help out, I surely would be thankful. Hit that thumbs up button if you get a free second. Enjoy your days, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See y'all.